Well, since it absorbed thousands of unskilled migrants from Central America who came up in that caravan, Tijuana, Mexico should be well on its way to becoming one of the world's richest cities. At least you'd think so, based on what you hear every day or read in the Washington Post. But surprisingly, many people in Tijuana are upset. We've interviewed a couple of times an elected official, a municipal delegate called Genaro Lopez. We talked to him the other night, and he suggested the caravan has not actually been that good for Tijuana itself.
They're still here. Problems are still going on. There's been like 280 arrests. Before it was only for drug possession and being drunk in the streets. Now it's for breaking and entering into homes. People have even made citizens arrest of them. And things aren't very nice here. And the neighborhood is tired of them, the merchants, and the schools.
So what exactly is the matter with these people in Mexico? Why don't they like this caravan? Ethan Bearman is a California radio host, and he joins us tonight. Ethan, thanks a lot for coming on. So I guess the reason we keep going back to this topic, and let me just stipulate, as I have before with you, that I like immigration. I like immigrants. I give every person in the caravan the benefit of the doubt. I think most really do want to come here for a better life. What infuriates me is that nobody gives the residents of any country into which immigrants flow the benefit of the doubt. All of them are dismissed immediately as bigots if they don't like it. What's so striking is that nobody on the left is saying anything about the reaction of Mexican citizens in Tijuana to this caravan, who are sounding like Donald Trump all of a sudden. Why are people ignoring this?
I don't know that they are ignoring it, because we definitely recognize the plight of human beings that have crossed from one of the poorest countries in the world that had 36 years of civil war and is now the conduit of the cartels for exporting drugs to the United States. And that's what we're talking about with these people who are camped out there. You know, there are issues, obviously. Anytime you take a couple of thousand people and stick them in a stadium and tell them to just wait there with an unknown amount of time before they're going to be processed for asylum, you would have trouble with an unknown amount of time that you're stuck in a place as well while you're trying to figure out how to bring your family to a country for a new life.
I believe that. I probably wouldn't engage in any home invasions during that time, but, you know, who knows? Maybe it's a situational response. But here's what I'm, again, so struck by, is everybody I talk to says we have deep sympathy for the plight of these migrants. And I said at the outset, and I mean it, I have sympathy too. I've never heard anybody on the left say, you know, we have deep sympathy for, like, normal people who just want to pay their taxes and send their kids to school, and their lives are being overturned by this. There's an effect on the people who live there when new people come. And nobody cares about them at all. Even in Tijuana, nobody cares about them. Why is that?
Well, I think people do care about them, but here's the issue. We have a twofold problem. One, we have a problem of governments failing, both Mexican and U.S. governments failing to deal with this human refugee crisis, and then the people are stuck with that problem in the local community, especially in places like Tijuana. And on top of it all, yeah, we always have a problem with the other. There are deep-seated issues of implicit bias of people of a different economic
it's the
status.
Other. What you're saying is the people of Tijuana are bigots. And before we reach that conclusion, I think it's fair to look at the facts. So there is at least one school in Tijuana that's been closed for 3 weeks because they can't open. People want to send their kids to school in Tijuana, in any place. There's trash all over the streets. It's super expensive, and there's been a crime spree. So all I want from you and from everyone on the left is an acknowledgement that there are real concerns that are not rooted in bigotry, but that are rational, and it's fair to be upset about this. But no one will give the benefit of the doubt to normal people, ever. Why?
There's definitely a right to be concerned about trash and the inability to send your kids to school and the environment and everything else.
Crime?
But again, blaming, you got to figure out who. Yeah, of course you can be upset. You should be upset about crime, and that is a problem. But you have to look at what the causes are and who's responsible for what is actually happening. You're taking people who have a problem with getting food. 67% of people from Guatemala have an inability to have regular access to food. They have extreme poverty. They're still dealing with the aftermath of a 36-year civil war. They're still dealing with the aftermath of the United Fruit Company that the United States sent down there and created the idea of a banana republic.
Fruit Company. I mean, look,
it was
a tough country.
Yes, we did that. That's the term banana republic, Tucker.
Okay, but again, I see all these religious figures, very self-righteous religious figures, show up and say, we're on the side of the migrants. Why do I never see anybody show up and say, we're on the side of just the normal people of Tijuana who aren't rich and have prosaic concerns like the rest of us? Why does no one on the left ever go up and say, we're going to stand up for you?
Well, I'm not sure I have a good answer for you there, because the government and the way the system is set up is for the citizens that are there in places like Tijuana or here in the United States. And we're talking about a refugee crisis that's happening, an asylum crisis. These are of human beings and children. We just had the 7-year-old who died crossing over in New Mexico because of the desert.
But I mean, what about...
So we have a responsibility.
I guess, but we also have a responsibility to the people who already live in Tijuana and already live in this country, and they feel like no one cares about them, and that's why they elected Donald Trump. So, like, someone should care about them, or else they're going to get madder, don't you think?
Well, of course, I do care about my fellow citizens,
Okay,
and I clearly do. But the issue is, again, you can't just kick people to the curb because you don't like them, because they're refugees, and we view people of different socioeconomic status with a bias, implicit bias. Go take the Harvard one of their tests from Project Implicit. It's a great way to understand
I see what you're
how
saying.
you feel.
Ethan, thank you very much.
No, online, Tucker, online. Thank you.